Okay, so I'm here with Anita. Anita's just finished the Exhausted to Energized Method. Welcome, Anita.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, like your home life, any children that you've got, what you do for work.
So I'm a teacher, a primary school teacher, and I have a husband and two boys who are 10 and 8.
Yeah, how's lockdown been?
It's been okay. It's certainly had its challenges, but we've navigated them together, and it's just been really, really busy for us.
Yeah. And when we first spoke about 3 months ago, you were really struggling with your health. So could you share a few of the things that you were really struggling with at that time?
I was really struggling with headaches and migraines and such low energy.
Mm,
Looking into ME and chronic fatigue syndrome, and just really, just my immune system was so low. I was always picking things up, ear problems, dizziness, just really under the weather all the time and not myself at all.
yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about let's say the chronic fatigue or the fatigue? You were needing to have sleeps before. So tell us a little bit about that and how long you was needing to sleep for. What did that look like?
So I would have a really good night's sleep, but then never ever woke up feeling refreshed. Just absolutely exhausted from the moment I woke up, and needing to either just sit on the sofa when I could, or get through a day at work and then just flop when I came home. And when I could, I would have a sleep in the day. And I needed to sleep so much that I would have to set my alarm in the day so that I didn't have
Mm,
hours and hours and hours.
yeah, yeah. And so life couldn't have felt good at that point, I'm imagining.
Not at all. No, no, I
And
was, yeah, really, really struggling.
how long had that been going on for?
Um, Probably um, 2.5 years, and I tried so much myself, but it just kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah. And what kind of stuff had you tried then?
I had tried exercise and the right sorts of exercise, trying to eat healthy, mindfulness, just reading lots about wellness.
Yes.
I had started to take some supplements that I'd read about and thought, oh, that would help me. Um, yeah, just lots that I'd tried, but just nothing had an impact. Nothing was working.
Yeah. And then so when you first contacted me, what was like the main thing that you wanted to change? Was there one main thing that you wanted to change?
I think it was everything. I just felt
Yeah.
everything needed to change.
Yes. And did you believe it could?
No, I was, well, on one hand, it was my last chance. I thought, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be like this forever. This is my life. But then I was so resistant. I felt I didn't have the energy to put into a 12-week course.
Yeah.
Also,
Mm,
taking on new things. Why would this work when nothing else has? And actually, I'm not coming with no knowledge. I've got so much knowledge. But then I thought, hopefully it's got to. I was really, really desperate and
yeah.
struggling.
Yeah. And so do you remember what it was that kind of allowed you to trust yourself, or trust the process, like invest in yourself? What helped you decide to take that step?
I think I had been following you for a little while, and I just thought, this is resonating with me a little bit. I'd watched you chatting to someone after the 12 weeks, and she just seemed a totally different person. And I remember thinking, wow, that's just amazing. But that won't happen to me. I won't be one of those people. I won't feel like that because I'm so much worse than probably anyone ever has been that Hannah's worked with. But I was in such a fatigued, heavy, painful state that I thought, I've just got to give this a go.
Mm, Yeah, and it's been such a pleasure working with you. You've always shown up for the calls, and you've been very organized, taking notes and really tracking your symptoms. So tell us a little bit about what that process was like over the past 12 weeks.
Um, it it made me see myself in a really different light, and even though I perhaps didn't think I would be learning many new skills, I have just learned so much. And like you said, showing up for the calls every week was so good. And I was, in the beginning, I again, I was a little bit reluctant to do those, and a little bit worried about doing those, but you were really supportive for those first few calls about, you know, helping me to gain my confidence in joining them, and they were really helpful. And I know when you said that you recorded them, I was thinking, oh my word, that's just a nightmare. But actually, it was amazing, because I could then watch back what you'd said to other people and make notes on that. Listen to other people's highs and lows and think, oh, actually that's like me. So I knew, I think it really helped me quickly learn I wasn't just the only one. This wasn't just happening to me. And it did help to be organised, to have everything printed, to make notes. And I loved each week when a new week was unlocked, seeing you do a video rather than just having notes to read through. Just having that video was a really nice introduction to each new week.
Oh, that's great.
And just having a week at a time to build on something, and having those rest weeks.
Yes.
It all just felt more manageable.
Yeah, so let's look at it from the point of view that, first of all, then, with your really, really low energy. So you was a bit worried, like, don't even think I've got the energy to do a 12-week course. So how was that bit? Like, how did your energy build, and how did you manage to do things in the beginning when you really didn't have a lot of energy to give?
I think because week one was, you weren't asking anything massive. So that week one was the perfect first week, because you felt that you had success.
Yes.
But you didn't have to exert yourself. So actually, that was a shift of mindset already, that, oh, I've had some success, I've been positive, but it hasn't been taxing on my time or my energy levels. So that was a really good start. And I think just hearing others as well talk about their journey, and I was thinking, well, they're busy too, they've got a job, they've got a family.
Yes.
So that was really helpful. And I don't know, I suppose with each growing week, just that energy probably did increase, and that motivation. It was the manageability, I think, overall that helped, that I was able to do it, I was able to achieve.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay. And so, moving on with energy then. So you was needing to take sleeps, if you could, before, regularly. You were saying, we was chatting before we started recording, you said like an hour and a half, 2 hours, if I could. Do you need to do that now?
No, not at all. No, I can't remember the last time I slept in the day.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the big changes of not needing to sleep in the day is your sleep at night has really improved, hasn't it?
Oh, so much. I'm back to normal sleep patterns, not waking in the night and then being awake for hours and hours. So that has, it's almost like my whole body rhythm has come back together again.
Yeah. And something that you haven't spoken about yet is about your blood sugar levels, or this hunger that you had all the time. So tell us a little bit about how that felt and how you were managing it before.
Yeah, so I, almost out of nowhere, I was just having this uncontrollable hunger that I just could not describe to anyone. I couldn't describe it to the GP in a way that I felt they really understood, that I was just needing to eat all the time, constantly. Otherwise I was shaky, feeling sick, lightheaded, and my blood sugars, all at the doctors, were all fine, and that's what they kept saying to me, well, they're absolutely fine, you're okay. And yeah, just eating all the time, that I just felt I could never get out of that cycle, because it was really taking over. But then just gradually, as the weeks went on, it's something which I noticed small improvements with, and then a little bit bigger improvements, and then it became more consistent.
Yeah, even before, I remember when we first started working together, you would tell me even at night time I'd wake up and I'd need to eat during the night. And you're not the only person that I've worked with who would say that you just feel like, was it that your energy would crash if you wasn't going to get up and eat right then? Or
yeah, and it felt like I would pass out because I was that hungry, that shaky, that lightheaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now you know how to eat to balance that, do you feel?
I do, definitely.
Yeah,
I really do. I've what I'm eating now, I know helps the blood sugars and just sustains me longer.
mm-hmm. Yeah, brilliant. So let's talk a little bit about your headaches and migraines, because this was it a daily battle for you before?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So what did it feel like?
Oh, it was just it was what was controlling my life, really, because to wake up and think, oh my goodness, it's another day with an awful head that I just couldn't do anything about unless I slept it off. And even then it was getting to the stage where even if I'd slept it off, it was actually still there. Just really impacted on what I was doing. And it did just feel constant. And I know that when I said that to you, and like, wow, so every day, and I was like, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really taken over.
Yeah. And how long had that been for?
I've always struggled,
Yeah.
even as a child, with
Right.
headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think just with age, just more and more, and for the last year, just worse and worse.
Yeah, sounds really, really debilitating. What would happen at work if you get one then?
I would try and get through, or sometimes I would just have to come home.
Yeah.
Or I would be sick at work, and that would have a little pain. And then I would go back to work and just go back to the classroom and just try and get on with it. And yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, and so you didn't really understand. I remember when we first started working together, you was on a really restricted diet, to the point I was a bit worried for you about how restricted your diet was, because you was just trying to cut out everything because you're worried that everything was a trigger for you.
Yeah, it was really, I'd read so much about, there was a heal your headache diet, there was low histamine. So I'd read lots of things and was doing everything that those things said. So I had cut out so much that actually I didn't know what was a trigger and what wasn't a trigger.
Yeah.
And eating was quite dull and boring, and I wasn't getting the range of colours and vitamins in my diet that I know I needed.
Yeah. And so do you feel like you've got more knowledge and control over that now?
Oh, definitely. It's given me the confidence to try things, and it's become clearer what are triggers.
Yes, so important.
And what I'm okay at building up with.
Yeah. And when we were chatting before, you told me that you haven't had a headache for, did you say a week?
Yeah, a week.
So I know that you're like, but it's only a week, maybe it's not going to carry on. I know that you're not quite got the trust that is what the future could look like. Does it sound too good to be true, even though you're living it?
It does, yeah, it really does. And but it's amazing to have a whole week of not even anything, not even something, just buzzing away.
Yeah, stirring.
Yes, if I can have a second week, then I think I probably will start to think, actually, okay, this is my future. So,
yeah. So could you share with us like what's some of the main things that you feel have turned this around for you from your point of view? What's been some really good things that you've introduced that have really helped?
I think your advice on supplements has been really helpful, because I would I used to take supplements before, but I suppose I've learned it's that combination of supplements and that knowledge behind them, whereas I didn't really have that. I was just taking them because I'd read something. So that's really helped me. The weekly calls have I think that's what made the whole program for me, because it was that accountability, it was that knowing that I could ask questions. That's been fantastic in the whole journey. And I think just looking at it holistically, really, so it isn't just the food, it is all the breath work and the mindfulness. That's been really kind of the part of the whole package for me, I think.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. I think one of the main things that we haven't spoken about is when we first spoke on the phone, you was telling about your anxiety and what that was like to live with at the time. So could you tell us a little bit how that was then? That was back in November, and then how that is today.
I just feel like a different person, really. I just felt so out of balance within myself, and I think that stemmed from just feeling so poorly all the time, with the fatigue and the no energy and picking things up. But actually it's been a real transformation for me. I feel so much more balanced, and just really like my old happy self.
Yeah, so good to hear. And I know for me, when I went through that myself, I just felt like I could just be so much of a better mum, which is really what I wanted to be at the end of the day. So do you feel the same in that way?
Oh, 100%. And we've just had a lovely half term together, and it definitely, I just feel not a better person as in I am a better person, but just everything I do just is easier, and it's nicer. And
I share a lot of free content in my group. Do you think that you could have pieced this together and worked this out for yourself and done it yourself?
No, because like I said, I'd been dipping in and following you and listening for quite a while, so I had probably done a few little bits and pieces, but it just wasn't coming together for me. And I just think that that group support was the key as well. So I think definitely actually signing up and making that commitment, it is very different. Like all the free stuff and the information was amazing, but I just needed that support on a deeper level.
Yeah, I just asked that from a very, very genuine place, because often I speak to people and they just say, yeah, the free stuff is really good and I'm going to carry on doing that. So I just wondered, now you've been able to experience both, what you felt. So that was really interesting to hear. So thank you for that. So what do you think it's like to someone else who's, maybe thinking about investing in themselves to get some help with their health? Do you think it's been a worthwhile investment?
Hugely, absolutely. I know at the beginning I was thinking, okay, this is a financial commitment, but then I thought, well, what's the point in trying to save some money if I'm not actually in a healthy state of living to do anything with that money? And then when I broke it down, I thought, actually, this is for me. If I was talking about one of my boys, I would give it a second thought. So and the way I'm feeling today compared to my health, back in November, it's just worth everything.
Yeah, so when we first started recording that you watched another lady who I interviewed and you thought, well, I wouldn't be able to do that in 12 weeks. Do you feel like are you that lady now? Have you done it in 12 weeks?
That's so poster girl. Yeah, and I really I really thought, well, she's obviously not as bad as I am.
Yes.
My starting point is so much worse. And I definitely am healing and in a much better, healthy place.
And when you were on inside the program, did you see other women who were as bad as you? Their symptoms may have been slightly different because everyone's health journey is slightly different, but do you feel that you was the worst? No, you've been on the inside.
No, I wasn't, and no, we all had our challenges, and it's funny, isn't it? Because, you know, you can pop onto a weekly call and say, oh my goodness, you know, I've had awful migraines this week. I've been awful. But because someone's physically there on the call, you think, oh, well, are they like my migraines? Do they have to go to bed? And it was so interesting to hear people's struggles and challenges. And actually, I certainly, you know, wasn't the worst, but then at times I wasn't the best. And
Yes.
it, you know, it's really interesting to hear. It's that fluctuation that we all have in our symptoms and struggles.
And just before we wrap up, one thing that you've done that I don't think anyone's done before, and they certainly hadn't shared it with me, that you said you went back and listened to every single one of your calls for the 12 weeks, didn't you? And it was really interesting to see your progress. But what I really loved that you shared was about your mindset shift, wasn't it? So just before we wrap up, could you share a little bit about that? Because we've spoken about mindset quite a lot over the past 12 weeks.
Yeah, I did. So I did that probably about 3 or so weeks ago, so a good, you know, 8-9 weeks into it. And yeah, I watched them back from week 1, and I was fascinated to watch them back, because just the change in myself, you know, how I was on the week 1 call to then how I was on that kind of week 8-9 call, and I realized that every week I was saying the same things to you, those same grumbles, those same problems. And it did just make me see everything with a different pair of eyes, really, and think about moving forward. And sometimes you'd say, oh, well, we chatted about this, did you try that? And I'd say, well, I've not got round to that yet, or I will do that. And it just made me be a little bit more proactive, really, and and it did just change that whole mindset. But I found that really, really useful to do.
Yeah, that's such a good thing. Well, it's been really, really interesting to listen to you sharing all of that goodness today, and thank you so much for doing the 12-week course, for showing up every single week, for being willing to try things and then willing to share it with others as well. So Anita, we wish you luck on the rest of your journey. Like you said earlier, it's just, you said you feel like it's just the beginning now, didn't you?
I did, and I can't thank you enough, because it's really transformed not only my life and experiences, but our whole family life, really, because I feel they've got me back now. So thank you.
Oh, so wonderful to hear. All right then, thanks a lot for today. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.